Welcome to Branding the Beltway. I'm Stacey Piper, a 25-year government marketing expert and the host of the podcast that helps you level up your B2G marketing game with actionable insider tips and real-world case studies. If you're in the business of doing business with the government, you're in the right place. Each episode delivers straight-to-the-point strategies from senior marketing leaders familiar with navigating the unique world of GovCon. In each episode, we'll first explore that month's topic on a macro level, talking strategy with CXOs. Then we'll deep dive into the same topic on a micro level, examining the practical approach of development and implementation. We're talking brand awareness, content strategy, and the campaign tactics that actually move the needle. Whether you're a CXO, a growth strategist, or marketing practitioner looking to strengthen your federal position, Branding the Beltway is your essential resource for driving results and winning more contracts. Let's connect strategy to execution and position your brand to win. Hi, thanks for joining us. I'm Stacey Piper, the host of Branding the Beltway, and today I'm so excited to be talking about how to build high-impact partner marketing programs in the B2G space. And our guest today will certainly know how to tell us to do that. This is Lauren O. She is the Senior Partner Marketing Manager at Zscaler. Leveraging the largest security cloud on the planet, Zscaler anticipates, secures, and simplifies the experience of doing business for the world's most established companies. Lauren, welcome. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me today. I have been in the government marketing space now for over 15 years. My experience has really spanned field marketing as well as partner marketing, really starting out in that event space years and years ago. I've been on the distribution side. I've also been on the reseller side and more recently on the vendor side. So my experience really spans kind of the full landscape of partner marketing. So again, thank you so much for having me today. Excited to jump into it.
Well, your background is definitely going to be valuable for this discussion. And so a reminder to our guests that the first half of this discussion, we're going to talk about building a partner marketing org from the macro lens, as if you, Lauren, are speaking up and out to your executive team and other organizations in your company. And when we come back from the commercial break, we will talk more pragmatically to the government marketers on how to implement this. So we'll dive right in. From a growth strategy perspective, why does partner marketing matter more in federal and B2G than often it could in commercial markets?
Yeah, great question to kick us off. So most software and hardware vendors are not able to sell directly to the government. They're leveraging their partners, so whether it's a traditional reseller partner, distribution, or some of the larger FSIs to really gain access to the government customer. So access in government is really granted kind of through the partners, not necessarily through demand. It's really the partners help provide permission to participate in some of the larger programs, and even just access to those customers. And partners really control a lot of cases in government, contract eligibility, inclusion in bids. They really help with the technical positioning as well. When it comes to building out those RFPs, those partners are on site with the customers, really understanding what their needs are. And they're the ones really building out those solutions. So it's really key to make sure that you have a strong partner marketing strategy and are working with the right partners to make sure that you're getting in front of the right customers. And again, just to kind of mention as well, partners don't sell products. So they're not out there pitching your product. They're selling solutions to the government. So again, it's just really important to leverage them kind of as your trusted advisor within those accounts.
That's really interesting. And access, is of course critical, especially with all the changes in procurement strategies, right? Are there different considerations that for partner marketing, if you're an FSI versus a SaaS firm versus a reseller?
Yeah, I think there definitely are. So resellers are really going to market with the customers in a very different fashion than like an FSI. They're really looking at really larger programmatic activities. I think a lot of the times like the traditional reseller or VAR are really looking more so at sometimes more transactional business. That doesn't mean that they don't have relationships with the customers. I think there's a couple of different ways that you can look at it. FSIs are really kind of from the beginning of that RFP piece. So really getting in with them early on as they're building out those requirements. And again, The resellers a lot of times are more transactional. A lot of times they are also implementing the solution as well, but really the go-to-market strategy with both of them, and distribution as well. So distribution's a really big piece in government as well that we don't want to ignore either. So how you work with disties is also going to be different with the other partners as well.
Absolutely. So how should executive teams think about partner marketing as a growth lever and not just a support function?
Yeah, so when I look at partner marketing, while, there is a demand function to partner marketing is not a traditional like marketing communications function. So a lot of times partner marketing is not putting out a blog post. They're not, putting out extensive pieces of content. So I think when you look at partner marketing, it's more of a revenue access into those accounts. So again, there is still like that demand function. We are still going to market with partners, but it is a different type of marketing. And partner marketing really earns you inclusion in those opportunities. And again, like access to those accounts really does precede demand. So leveraging those partners is incredibly important. A lot of partner marketing is measured around influence versus like traditional demand. So when I look at my metrics, as a partner marketer at Zscaler, a lot of it is around influence pipeline. So how can I influence this pipeline, over a sometimes long sales cycle,
Yeah.
versus like that traditional, like go to market, get in front of the customer immediately. So it's a little bit of a different function. And I think when executives look at how they should be measuring the success of partner marketing, it's really the win rate that we attach to deals that a partner is involved in, especially at an earlier stage. So I think partner marketing is a really important growth lever. I think it just needs to be positioned a little bit differently than our traditional like field marketing or even corporate marketing role.
Absolutely. And does deal velocity or, pipeline acceleration come into play too?
Yeah. So when we look at opportunities, that involve a partner and Zscaler gets involved earlier in the sales cycle, the deals tend to close quicker. And sometimes the size of the deals grows over the course of the sales cycle as well. So there certainly is some additional like, metrics, positive metrics that can be involved. And I think too, a lot of times the partners have that relationship with the customer already that really allows us to have the deal kind of accelerate a little bit faster since there's already a piece of trust, and like kind of admiration with the partner as we kind of move through the cycle. We're not introducing ourselves as somebody new coming in trying to kind of gain their trust. So I think that's something that's really important to think about as you're building out a partner marketing function. The value that working with a partner and a partner marketer can really have in the sales cycle.
That's excellent and really shows the importance of that strategic investment.
Mhm.
Um, what are some of the biggest strategic mistakes you've seen companies make when misscoping this or, trying to make it a traditional marketing role or underinvesting?
Yeah, I think a lot of the biggest mistakes that I've seen is trying to kind of like I mentioned before, trying to make partner marketing really fit into a traditional field marketing role and not really understanding the value. Again, that's not really the function of partner marketing. And sometimes I look at partner marketing. There's a sales piece of it too. There's a piece of it that is a little bit different than the traditional field marketing, where it really focuses on pulling that growth lever in a little bit of a different way. So I think it's not understanding like the true function. And I think partner marketing compounds over time. So I think when you look at, and that's kind of that influence piece. When you look at field marketing, you see sometimes like one-to-one with pipeline. You see, we did an event, we had, this amount of attendees, we have, an opportunity. I think partner marketing really does compound over time through proper enablement with the partner, relationship building, access to accounts that once you open that door with that particular partner and you've gained their trust and you're building those relationships, they are more willing to bring you into additional accounts. So I think it's really understanding the big mistake, understanding what the true function of partner marketing is in your marketing ecosystem.
That's really important. And it made me think of a question that we didn't discuss in advance. So apologies for putting you on the spot, but I know you've worked in different organizations. I assume they're different sizes. Like
Mhm.
what does a partner marketing function or team look like? Is it sometimes just one person? Is it a whole team of people? What should executives be thinking of and in what situations?
Yeah, I think obviously it depends on the size of the company and the investment that's available to make. But when I look at, being at Zscaler here, our team has grown and twice in size since I've been here, which just shows the investment and the value that Zscaler puts on our partner marketing function. The way that we are really segmented out outside of like a geographic perspective, I was covering, all of public sector, including federal, really focused on those set of partners. I think, really focused on building out the strategic partners for for those verticals. And I think, which is very different from the rest of the business. So I was a dedicated partner marketer. We had also additional resources inside to help make sure that we had the right content. So we can go to market, but if we don't have the right content built for partners to leverage when they're reaching out to customers, we found a lot of challenges there. So essentially, you want somebody who's really dedicated on growing out that function, really dedicated on growing those strategic partners, and then somebody to kind of help with some of the content. So, as well as programs. So we built out programs specifically that were designed to go to market for partners leverage for going to market with customers. And so I think it obviously depends on the size of the organization. And I think a partner marketing organization as a whole will include other partner marketers focused on other areas of the business. So like enterprise, major, some of those larger accounts, and then somebody focused on tech alliance. So we consider our tech alliance partners incredibly important as we go to market. Obviously, a little bit of a different function than a traditional reseller or FSI, but they are an additional lever for us to pull. They have access to accounts that we're not in, where there may be cross-sell and upsell opportunity.
Absolutely. And so, where does the partner marketing function sit in an organization?
Yeah, so at Zscaler Partner Marketing and at other companies that I've been at, partner marketing sits under marketing. So in
Okay.
yes, it sits under marketing, which allows us to make sure that we're aligning the messaging and the company's priorities to our go-to-market with partners. So I think that's incredibly important. At other organizations, I have sat on a channel team, which, I think there's value there. There's a lot of alignment from a channel sales lens. But I do feel like sitting on the marketing team makes sure that we're going to market with that one message, tweaking it for government to make sure that we're speaking the right language. But I think making sure that we've got the right air cover in terms of messaging. So we're going to market as one organization.
Okay. And then are your internal stakeholders like traditional sales and BD people and P&L leaders and product managers, or are there like alliance leaders and partner?
Yeah. Yeah, so my kind of like internal stakeholders really are those channel leaders internally. So it's the leaders that manage the different areas of the business. So they're the ones really interfacing directly with the partners from a more of a sales function. So they're sort of my stakeholders. But when you look at it too, our sales team still is. They are a key component of how we're going to market. So making sure that we're working with the sales team to kind of understand what their messaging is when they're going to market, what they're hearing from the customer, so we can make sure we're positioning that properly with partners. But I would say ideally for the most part, my internal stakeholders are those channel leaders as well. The ecosystem that I work with internally does include, it does include field marketing. It does include like corporate marketing from a messaging perspective. So I'm really kind of touching a lot of areas of the business, which I think from exposure perspective is fantastic to be able to share what we're doing from a partner marketing perspective. But it does make it challenging trying to make sure that you're getting with all of the right individuals to make sure that we're going to market cohesively.
That makes sense. And so when an executive leadership team is thinking of investing in building or growing out their partner marketing function, what should they expect, in year one, year two, et cetera?
Yeah, I think when executives are really looking at building out that partner marketing organization, I think it kind of depends on if we're starting from scratch or kind of where we're at. But I think it's really keeping your eye on like what the main focus of partner marketing is gaining access to revenue through those partners that we may not have had access to. It's allowing us to participate in strategic programs that we, again, may not have even known about in some cases. Earlier influence in the buying cycles is super important when it comes to partner marketing. So allowing us to do that, and it over time allows us to position ourselves as a stronger, software vendor, hardware vendor over time. It creates more pipeline efficiency. So when executives look at it, I mean, obviously it grows over time, but it creates more pipeline efficiency and increases the win rate. So I think from an executive lens, those are really important points and things that they look for. They're like, for working with these partners and this partner marketer, how is the investments that we're making in marketing going to grow over time? It's increasing those win rates over time, and it creates more stickiness with the partner. So when I think about, gaining access to the partner's accounts, building the trust, it allows us to gain more stickiness with the partner within the accounts that they're in. And I think obviously, when I started at Zscaler, our partner marketing organization was, I think we were about a year old. So we had a lot of building to still do. And when I look back at the 4 years that I've been here, we've grown significantly over those 4 years, to a point now where we can really show that marketing influence pipeline to our leadership team, the value that they've seen and the ability to let our team double in size just shows how important it is to invest in the right partner marketing organization to grow that business.
So that's really exciting. Congratulations on all the success there. Well, we are going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to look at this topic, partner marketing, how to build it from a practical level. We're going to look at the micro lens and how we can implement day to day. Thank you. This episode of Branding the Beltway is brought to you by Piper Strategies and Orange Slices. Piper Strategies, marketing that moves the needle. Piper Strategies is a full-service creative agency for leaders serious about growth. We decode the complex, translating mission-driven work into clear, compelling narratives. Our clients expand their reach, communicate with impact, and earn trust in competitive markets so they can win more work. We don't just deliver results, we build your internal marketing muscle. With Piper Strategies, clients grow with us until they outgrow us. It's a partnership-first, un-agency approach that not only gets you noticed and builds credibility, but also scales your brand and your team. Learn more at piperstrategies.com. Orange Slices, fresh intelligence for B2G success. Cut through the noise with Orange Slices, a trusted source for public sector insights, teaming opportunities, and procurement intel. With a playful name and a powerful platform, they're serious about making data accessible and usable so the entire GovCon community can thrive. For resources, visit orangeslices.ai. Welcome back. Reminder, we are with Lauren O. She is the Senior Partner Marketing Manager at Zscaler, and we were talking about how to build high-impact partner marketing programs for B2G. So let's get tactical, Lauren. How should a federal marketing team categorize and prioritize partners for a marketing investment?
Yeah, thank you. So the way that we've done it here at Zscaler and some of the other organizations that I've worked at is really kind of tiering out our partners. So I think when you look at the partner ecosystem, it is the resellers, the tech alliance partners, the FSIs, the distribution. Obviously, we can't forget them as well. So I think it's really categorizing the partners based on like opportunity for growth. So strategic partners will essentially get a higher level of investment. The strategic partners are typically the ones that know how to sell the solution. They're very comfortable getting in front of the customers. The relationships have built there. They're very well positioned in the market. So they've got access to those accounts. And from a partner marketing lens, they know how to execute. There's alignment there. And I think one of the other ways we've sort of looked at partners here at Zscaler and at some of the other companies is growth partners. So growth partners tend to be ones that are still well positioned in the market, may not have access to some of the larger accounts that we're interested in, but they are ones that we would want to incubate. So we'd want to still make investments in, maybe pull in distribution to help execute some of those marketing activities and maybe leverage some of those more like self-service type of activities. So think like a partner demand center, like an online partner portal where they can access campaign in a box type of activities. And then tech alliance partners. So we work a lot with tech alliance partners, and kind of like that better together, for lack of a better way to put it, story where there's kind of cross-sell and upsell opportunities. So we do make investments with those really strong strategic tech alliance partners, a lot of times leveraging data to kind of go to market together where we're touching accounts where we maybe don't have access to and they do. So I would say really prioritizing your partners based on growth and strategy and making the investments from there.
I'm imagining that those lines are somewhat fluid, that someone who's a growth partner could become a strategic partner with your incubation and help and vice versa. So that's really cool. I'm wondering if you can describe what some effective ways are to resource partner marketing, especially if you have a lean internal team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a challenge that a lot of organizations run into as they're starting to make investments in partner marketing. So, um, kind of as I mentioned before, we've really leaned heavily, as we were really building out that public sector federally focused partner marketing function when I started. A lot of that was me leaning heavily on distribution. So, me as one person trying to manage all of it was quite a bit. So leaning heavily on our distribution partner, I sort of leveraged them as kind of like a marketing outsourced arm. So I leveraged them in a lot of cases where we weren't able to make the additional investment in headcount to help me with some of the programs and also helping us onboard partners. So as new partners are coming and we've incubated them or we've decided, hey, we want to make this investment, they helped onboard the partners, make sure that they had the right enablement material. So that is one way to do it. I would also say a virtual partner marketing. There's a lot of organizations out there that allow you to do contracts. We call them VPMM, so virtual partner marketers. You can leverage them to kind of help with some of those more smaller partners as that we're incubating them to give them access to resources, help them lift and execute campaigns. They've been incredibly important as we've grown out our partner marketing organization across all of our geos and verticals, but outsourcing that has been fantastic. And then creating programs that are self-service. So programs that partners can leverage through either that partner demand center or that, you can work with them to kind of lift and leverage and kind of get them going. So campaigns in a box, incentive programs that you can share with partners that'll kind of get them up and moving. So I would say programs that are self-service tends to be one where there's not a lot of like oversight from a partner marketer where they can kind of enable them to go and field marketing. So one of the things that we did here when I first started was, as I was looking at some of the more strategic partners for our public sector business was really helping some of the field marketers help execute activities in region. So leveraging them where they're close with the sales team, having them sort of assist as well as we are kind of growing and building. They have access to our sellers. They can kind of help make the connections with our channel team, and the partner to make sure that we're executing in region or like in specific account activities. So I would say there's a couple of different ways to kind of do it as you get going. And then as funding becomes more available and resources become a little bit more abundant, obviously building out that partner marketing team.
That's great. And I've heard of partner portals. I love that you call it a partner demand center. And I've heard of partner toolkits, and I'm hearing you say like campaign in a box. So I'm getting some of that. But I haven't heard of partner incentive programs. Can you tell me a little bit more or give me an example?
Yeah, so we've put together programs that incentivize our partners for setting up new business meetings, moving opportunities through the pipeline. So incentives can look a few different ways. They can look like incentivizing the seller. So whether it's, hey, you get a $50 gift card if you set up a meeting, or it can go on the other side of the house and be kind of more of a larger function where they're getting like deal percentage. Increased deal percentage. So I think it just kind of depends. And I think sometimes in the government space with partners, not all partners are able to participate. So that's something that I do want to caveat. Sometimes some partners are, some are not, but where we can incentivize the seller for gaining access to an account, that is something that we certainly look at as like a demand gen opportunity with the partner to be able to get access to those accounts. So there's different ways you can incentivize them. We have also hosted like an event. If you get a new business meeting, we'll take everybody to a Caps game. So I think there's a couple of different ways to look at it, and those are different types of ways that we kind of go to market with partners.
Well, that's fun. And are those typically like a set incentive program, or are they more like spot challenges that they come up for a specific period of time or a specific account and then they go away?
Yeah, they're typically more spot or they're around like a specific set of accounts. So we've done programs that are focused around like a bounty list of accounts. So you think a list of 50 accounts we're trying to get into where, if we get a meeting within these accounts, they qualify. So it's typically either around programmatically around a set of accounts or for like a period of time or around a specific solution. So if we're trying to push like our data protection solution, we've done incentives around that, where if we get a new business meeting around data protection, the partner gets incentivized. So it's a little bit of a different function. It looks different than other types of marketing, but it really does provide strong ROI and PG pipeline generation, as we look at accelerating that partner influenced pipe.
That's really cool. Thanks for going into that detail because I hadn't heard about that type of program before. So all of this sounds like a lot of moving pieces and parts. And so I'm imagining that like coordination and integration can be a challenge like day to day. So how would you advise or some of the best ways marketing teams can, run in parallel with other core field marketing, ABM type initiatives?
Yeah. So one of the things that I think is really important to mention is I think for a partner marketer, while our function looks very different than field marketing, it is incredibly important to have the right alignment with the field marketing team. They, in a lot of cases, like I mentioned before, are closer with the sellers. They understand, well, maybe in some cases, what the challenges are with the customer. So I think while partner marketing, you're kind of going in a whole bunch of different ways. Alignment with the field marketing team is incredibly important. That's something that I was really lucky to have as I came here. I already knew our field marketing leader for government. So it made the transition into this role for me incredibly important and made sure that I had the right alignment and the right buy off with her team. When it comes to different types of functions, so I think partner marketing, while again it's not like traditional marketing from with the demand piece, I still leverage a lot of account-based marketing. So I still work with our ABM team to put together programs that work very closely with our partners as well. We leverage a lot of data. So I work a lot with intent data. So I work a lot with Sixth Sense. I get a lot of data from our partners that I can leverage to really make sure we're putting together the right account-based marketing programs. A lot of times we're targeting their current customers that maybe don't have Zscaler. So we can get that information from them and leverage it in a very targeted account-based marketing program. We do that with our tech alliance partners as well. So I think it's leveraging their relationships, which I think gains us access to some of those accounts. But I work very closely with our ABM digital team. I'm in the process of launching a program, hopefully by the end of next week, with CrowdStrike and one of our other partners. So I think there's a lot of ways we can pull additional levers internally with other marketing functions, like thought leadership, for example. A lot of times our partners have blogs, websites, things like that, where we can leverage our thought leadership teams internally at Zscaler to put together some content that I can then put on a partner's website that allows us to have additional kind of like exposure through the partner with additional like viewers that maybe we wouldn't have on our site. So there's a lot of different corporate field marketing functions that I do tap into. Definitely not something I did when I first started, but I think over time, as we've built a more cohesive marketing organization, those opportunities have become more available.
So to wrap up, I wanted to get tips from you for in-house marketers on what the operational must-haves are for making partner marketing successful in their orgs.
Yeah, absolutely. So the number one thing I would say that's really allowed us to kind of catapult our partner marketing organization is the Marketing Development Fund program. So we call that MDF. For anybody who's not familiar with that, it just allows partners to have access to funding to leverage for pipeline generation programs. So not to go too far into the nitty gritty on like how the program's managed, but it allows them to execute events, digital campaigns, those type of programs on their own, and we reimburse them for those events and activities. So that really allows them to gain access to, PG programs and things like that, where maybe they didn't have the funding available. And it really allows us to make investment in those strategic partners in those areas of the business that we're looking to grow. So I would say that would probably be the number one thing that I would say as you're looking at potentially building out a partner marketing organization or looking at gaps, is making sure that you have a funding source for partners to execute. A lot of times they don't have the funding internally to be able to do those programs. So I would say that, and it also one thing to say as well as like, with our marketing hat on, is it actually holds partners accountable. So when they execute these activities in the field, they're held accountable through a reimbursement program where they're required to submit essentially proof of performance for execution. It holds them accountable for follow-up and things like that. So I think that should be the foundation of what a partner marketing program looks like and really allows us to work better day to day. The other thing that I would say is intent data. So we use a lot of intent data here at Zscaler. So we use Sixth Sense for anybody who's familiar with that. And that allows us really to leverage data that we're getting from partners, data that we're getting internally to make sure that all of our ABM activities, and even like from a post-event perspective, that we're starting with the accounts that are the most like the ripest first for follow-up. So an intent data tool, whatever that looks like for your organization, is important. Obviously, a CRM, we use Salesforce here at Zscaler, and that allows us to track success and ROI of our programs, which filters into a Tableau dashboard that allows me to see what is our partner marketing influence pipeline? What does it look like post-event? So being able to leverage those tools to kind of see success and be able to pivot from there in terms of like activity type and tactic, and see what's worked and what hasn't worked. And I would say like the third piece, which I think can be like undervalued sometimes from a partner marketing lens, is making sure that you have programs and content that are built for partners. We have a programs team here at Zscaler. They build programs that are specific for partners to go to market. So whether it's specific content that they can leverage, meeting maker programs. We also do, incentives through them sometimes. So having a team that's really focused on partner content and partner programs, which, in a lot of cases differ from what the field marketing corporate team is putting out, I think allows us to really show up to the partner in a way that allows them to really go to market in a really solid, clear fashion. So I would say those would be the things that I think are incredibly important, and like an amazing team. I have an incredible team here at Zscaler that's very supportive. We all work very well together and understand kind of our position here at Zscaler and how we can help our channel team and our partners and our customers win. So I think and having the right team is important as well.
Well, I agree with that. But I think there were so many rich tips that you gave in that response. There's so many things I want to pull the thread on, like the idea of setting up an MDF program. So like it's literally your company putting your money where your mouth is. You're saying these are the partner programs that matter to us. So I love that. And then that accountability piece that you can get through MDF, where, it's like, show me the money. Like if I'm putting skin in the game, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're putting skin in the game and the partner's putting skin in the game, then you both have a vested interest in making sure that the follow through is all buttoned up. And I love that. I'm glad you mentioned the CRM and Salesforce, because I think that's where, when we started this conversation from the CEO perspective, you mentioned kind of that deal velocity and marketing influence pipeline. And I think without leveraging your CRM system or pipeline management tool for this reason and associating, contacts with campaigns and campaigns with opportunities, you wouldn't get that visibility. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Is there anything, you mentioned intent data several times, and when I think of Sixth Sense, I may be a little bit outdated on this, but I'm thinking of, what you can see on what accounts are looking at what content on your website. That's how I think of Sixth Sense. Is that how you guys are using it, or are you using it more for like lead scoring?
We're using it more for intent. So essentially like what type of accounts are looking up solutions that we have. And in some cases, we're able to look up what customers are looking up in terms of solutions and include a partner in it. So we're able to say partner X and our ZIA solution, who's looking these up, and leverage that information. A lot of times I'm uploading a list. So I'm uploading a list of accounts, and it kind of scores it based on like highly engaged, moderately engaged, low engaged. And it kind of gives us a sense for what those individuals at those accounts are looking up. And then we can, like I said, apply filters, apply a partner to it, apply a tech alliance partner to it to see if they're also looking up content from CrowdStrike, for example. So I think it's definitely a tool in my tool belt that we can kind of leverage to be more targeted in our outreach.
Okay, that's interesting. Definitely not what I was thinking it was. I was thinking it was more something on the back end of your website. So I'm glad that I asked. I'm curious, are there specific, let's call it like media partners or media platforms that are really important to leverage in your partner marketing?
Yeah, so I think like a lot of other B2G marketers, we do leverage a lot of other outside media companies. I do think a lot of times in this space, it's difficult to reach the right customer in a way that is impactful. So we do rely heavily on some of the media partners that are out there to gain access with our partners as well to some of those customers. Yeah, they've been a huge help in reaching the right customers as well.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for your time and sharing all of your wisdom. I'm sure that the listeners will be able to take some actionable steps based on this interview. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Branding the Beltway. If you're looking for an outsourced marketing partner or fractional marketing leadership who truly gets the GovCon sector, Piper Strategies is the team to know. We're not just here to deliver, we're here to empower. For resources or to inquire, visit piperstrategies.com.